Step 2 for your bear scratch painting project. You're going to need the drawing of your bear body parts, and then on the side that we're working on today is the crayon side, the colorful crayon side that we did last time. You're also going to need the paint that was sent home, a paintbrush that was also sent home, and you're also going to need a fork that was not sent home. We're going to use this fork as a texture tool, and so I cannot, normally in class I would have you use a certain type of texture tool, but I don't have enough to send those out, but a fork will work just fine, and I know everybody has a fork at home. The paint that we're using is Crayola washable tempera paint, and it's also non-toxic, so super safe to use a fork with this type of paint. Just make sure you check with mom and dad and let them know what you're doing today, painting today, and make sure you wash that fork. You know, if you have a plastic fork and you want to use that and dispose of it, that's fine. But a metal fork, if you just wash it when you're done, then it's safe to use. So what we're going to do today first is roll up your sleeves and make sure that you're working in a place that you don't mind getting a little paint on the table. Again, this is washable, so it'll clean up easily. What we're going to do is we're going to cover this whole colorful side of the paper with the black paint that I gave you, and then we're going to use the tool, your fork, to create a certain type of texture so that we can see some lines that would represent our bear's fur. So please pay close attention. When we paint, we hold a brush similar to how you hold your pencil, and we're going to practice the back and forth motion, and your goal is not to get super close to the edge. We're going to try to make our workspace cleaner and don't have to get all the way super close to the edge for this. So follow along with me, watch me first, and then you can go ahead and do. So what I'm going to do is kind of dump out a bunch of this paint, taking kind of spoonfuls, paintbrushfuls of the paint. We'll use it all up. And I'll make sure I give you plenty of paint to work with. Okay. And when you are painting back and forth, I normally like to stand when I paint. And then this hand right here, whatever hand's not holding my paintbrush, make sure you're really anchoring it. You're holding down this piece of paper so that it doesn't wiggle all over the place. We want this piece of paper to stay right where it is. And you're going to hold it down. So go back and forth. Really cover up, especially the middle, and smooth out those puddles of paint. So this is as far as I'm going to go to the edge. I'm going to have a little crayon border. I'm not going to touch my fingers with the paint. I'm going back and forth. And again, smoothing out those puddles of paint. Don't go too close to the edge. If you do, that's okay. But this is just so that we don't have to clean up too much black paint on our table. Or again, now I'm just double checking and making sure I'm clearing any of those big paint bubbles, paint puddles. And again, using the flatness of my brush to go back and forth. Okay, so once you're done, you can set your paintbrush down. I set it right on top of my artwork, not a big deal. And then you're going to grab your fork and play around with those metal lines, metal tips in your fork. I want you to play around with the different textures that you can create. Ooh, this is pretty neat. This is the scratch part of our bear scratch painting. We're kind of thinking about the bear's fur. You can do whatever you want here. I like just to play around with lines. And take a look at that color that's coming through. Super cool. Okay, so this is it for today. Make sure that you wash your paintbrush and your fork really well in the sink with some warm water. For the paintbrush, you really don't need soap, but you can use it if you want. But I normally just wash underwater until the water runs clear. And keep your artwork in a safe spot to dry. It should dry within a couple hours, and we'll move on with the project next time. Have fun!